for your outdoor space. So if at all you feel like you want to obviously upgrade, plan, design, obviously call them. Do you have a garden? Do you have an outdoor space? What do you have that you feel like you can come up and obviously do the needful for these people? Call them on +256 765 295529, or WhatsApp them on +256 70004168. That is Think Landscaping for you. Okwalinga Dennis, thank you for obviously coming in through and see to it that all goes on well as planned. And this is the video live stream that obviously going to be doing right about now. So just go ahead and obviously be part of this big family that is growing every other day that really passes by. That's why I tell you, by the end of this month, I want us to hit 30,000 subscribers. And how are we gonna be hitting 30,000 subscribers? We obviously gonna be having you going into the left bottom corner, smash the black button that has the word subscribe. After smashing it, hit the notification bell. That will enable you notified every time I upload a video onto our beautiful channel. And so we are good to go. And this is what we do on a daily here, onto what we call the Rokani Media Football. Now, Morgan Rogers transfer to Arsenal hijacked. This story came in through yesterday night, but I really had lots of engagements that I couldn't obviously come in and obviously drop it. You understand? But I was like, to kickstart off my day, this should be the right story to obviously start off our day, because many Arsenal fans are agitated. There are those that I've gone ahead to see celebrating, by the way, and I don't know why they're doing that. Are they trying to spin because they've gone ahead to lose to Chelsea? But as it stands for me, I feel like it's a loss. It's a big loss for the club of Arsenal into this so-called transfer. Remember, before David Austin broke the story that a total agreement had been reached between Arsenal and a team known as Chelsea and Aston Villa, we had been told that Arsenal are leading the race for this guy. And there is nowhere we had Chelsea chasing in and obviously trying to hijack the deal. Though we knew to it that Chelsea was interested in the player. You get? Chelsea was interested in the player, but we are always told that Arsenal is in the lead. And Arsenal were offering Champions League football, something that Chelsea was not offering. You understand? And I had sounded a warning earlier, if you remember very well, that Elliot Anderson going in for £116 million from Nottingham Forest to a team known as Man City will impact the next transfers in there for you. And if we're going to hit to it that, Bruno Guimaraes, Newcastle is calling in for £100 million. The other guy goes by the names of Morgan Rogers, £117 million as stated and confirmed by the transfer gurus. One of them goes by the names of David Austin. He says, Chelsea reached verbal agreement with Aston Villa to sign Morgan Rogers. Bid of £117 million accepted by Aston Villa and being finalized. 6 + 1 year contract, medical on Monday. Arsenal interested, but 23-year-old attacker wanted Chelsea. Xabi Alonso instrumental. Then after, Fabrizio Romano came up and told us the following that Morgan Rogers to Chelsea, here we go. Club-to-club agreement reached today with Aston Villa to anticipate Arsenal official bid. £117 million proposal has been accepted, as David Austin reported. Agreement done with Morgan Rogers on personal terms until June 2032. You understand? So that is what we call a here we go. And the deal was done and dusted. But David Austin hit on something. Arsenal interested, but 23-year-old attacker wanted Chelsea. Xabi Alonso instrumental. Now, let me tell you, if Arsenal had gone ahead to offer the same amount of money that Chelsea offered to Aston Villa, there is no way we could see this guy known as what's his name? Known as Morgan Rogers hide for Chelsea, because I think at Chelsea, you are like putting your destiny in the wrong hands, because Xabi Alonso has no guarantee that he will be the manager of Chelsea by the end of this season. If things happen not to go the way Chelsea wants them to go, you well know that they will sack this guy. Sacking and Chelsea is like 5 and 6. Why? These people came in through in 2021. That's when we saw Chelsea being sold. Chelsea being sold to the, is it 2021, 2022 in there for you? But I can tell you, the managers they've gone ahead to sack. They first sacked Thomas Tuchel. They sacked they sacked Graham Potter. They sacked Pochettino. They sacked Rosnier, right? And now they've gone ahead to bring in Xabi Alonso. And they haven't gone ahead to be here for 5 years, but they've gone ahead, obviously, sack, I think, 5 and hire 5. You understand? So, what message goes into your head? It's that the reason as to why Chelsea hijacked the deal was that they contacted Aston Villa, and Aston Villa told them that this side is not willing to obviously pay the amount of money that we are calling in for, and that is 117 million pounds. I remember doing a story in here that Aston Villa has gone ahead to put the price ceiling of Morgan Rogers to the club of, Morgan Rogers at 130 million pounds, but it was negotiable. You understand? So I think Arsenal negotiated the deal, and they found themselves in a position of not really getting it to where it deserves to be. So they found themselves in a position of really not paying the amount of money that Aston Villa wanted in there for you. So Chelsea came in through and hijacked the deal. But I don't think that Alonso had gone ahead to do a better job than Arteta when it mattered most to convince this player to come in through and play for a club known as Arsenal. I think it was all about money. No one can come and convince me that Alonso convinced the player and did a lot. I think the problem has always been a club known as Arsenal, not wanting to come in through and obviously offer the amount of money these clubs wanted. And to show you to it that Arsenal doesn't want to be bullied this summer transfer window, they pulled out on the deal of Matheus Fernandes and Sandro Tonali. Those two, Arsenal wanted them, but they could only offer like 80 for Sandro Tonali and maybe 60 for Matheus Fernandes. But when their respective clubs, Newcastle and West Ham, called in for 185 million pounds respectively, Arsenal was like, we are not coming in through to pay that much. I tell you, we won't come in through and obviously pay that huge amount of money. And they were like, please, let them go to Tottenham Hotspur, our North London rivals, and we wait for them in the North London derby and see who will beat who in the rivalry match. You understand? So, no one can come and convince me that Alonso came on and obviously spoke some things that went into this boy's head. But I think the boy had been confirmed that Arsenal were not willing to obviously do the needful. And I tell you, there is no way Aston Villa would have gone ahead to accept this money without contacting Arsenal, because they wanted a bidding war. I tell you, they wanted what we call a bidding war. And in that bidding war, all they wanted was to see to it that the side of Arsenal and Chelsea go head to head. And when they go to head to head, do you know who benefits? It's the seller, because the demand has gone ahead to create the bidding war, and it will speak volumes. So that is exactly what happened for the club of Arsenal. So they've pulled out, and Fabrizio Romano has also gone ahead to tell us that Xabi Alonso involved in Chelsea's secret mission to get Morgan Rogers. Indeed, it was very secret, that is it. Chelsea manager spoke to Morgan Rogers, presented tactical project, and was key to get the green light from the player to close in 24 hours in there for you. Obviously, Morgan Rogers must have gone ahead to send a message to Arteta that, please, what do you have on table? And I think they told Morgan Rogers, we cannot obviously meet the bid that Chelsea has gone ahead obviously put in. You understand? So it's not that these people went ahead to do a very big job. It's that Arsenal never wanted to obviously pay that amount of money. Then Fabrizio told us that Middlesbrough are set to receive 15% from Aston Villa as consequence of Morgan Rogers' transfer to Chelsea. A sell-on clause was negotiated as part of the deal in there for you. Now, for Middlesbrough, they sold him for £16 million. And I think they are getting in 31 million pounds for the championship club. That is really some good amount of money. So Morgan Rogers is obviously a Chelsea player. Yesterday, they went ahead to obviously beat a team known as France 6-4 in the World Cup. And now, on Monday, that's when Morgan Rogers will be in London to obviously undergo his medical and sign the contract. All documents are ready as Chelsea FC wanted to anticipate Arsenal bid and close in 24 hours. Rogers will sign until June 2032 with option for further season. That is it. Now, it looks like players don't want to see themselves like lingered around. They want deals obviously be done and dusted. But that's why you'll find teams like Man United who will be like, we want players who are dying to play for us. And they're like, I'm going to Man United, I'm going to Arsenal in there for you. But for Morgan Rogers, we wait and see how Arsenal will react. But if you're an Arsenal fan, go ahead and hate Man United because they are the team that went ahead to sponsor this deal to obviously come to pass. And how did they sponsor this deal? This is how they sponsored it. 1, the club of Man United went ahead to buy a player known as Andre Santos for £50 million. A player that they bought, is it from Vasco da Gama in Brazil, for £10 million. Meaning that Man United went ahead to give Chelsea a 40 million profit. Do you hear me out well? A 40 million profit. And when they gave them a 40 million profit, it just went ahead, obviously increased the appetite of Chelsea to get this deal out of the way. And United are the big contributors for this deal to obviously come to pass. So they've done it on Mason Mount and they ended up losing Moise Caicedo in there for you. So don't look any further. It's United that facilitated the transfer of Morgan Rogers to the club of Chelsea because they've just went ahead to buy a player for £50 million from Chelsea, and Chelsea were like, all right, £117 million, that is like £18 million per year. You understand? So, how many £18 million do we have in £40 million? It's like 3. So, they are like 3 years sorted, and we can balance the rest later on. You understand? So, Morgan Rogers is a Chelsea player. That is it. Unless otherwise, but I don't think Arsenal will obviously come out and say they're going to pay £117 million because they might be calculating and they're like, of these 3 players, who do we need most? Julian Alvarez, Bruno Guimaraes, and Morgan Rogers. I think out of all those, the most important signing that Arsenal should get in first is Bruno Guimaraes. And if you pay £117 million to Aston Villa, that will kill your negotiations with Newcastle on getting this player at a certain price that you feel is right. You understand? So, I think Arsenal were like, if he's going to Chelsea, let him go. But we won't spend that crazy money because the moment we spend that crazy money, we will find ourselves in a situation of seeing Newcastle changing its stance. We are negotiating with Newcastle that we don't have the £100 million, and then we go ahead and really spend it onto a player known as Morgan Rogers. They'll be like, you guys, are you trying to mock us? Are you serious enough? You understand? So there is no way you tell Newcastle that you don't have £100 million for Bruno Guimaraes and you are paying 117 for Morgan Rogers. Do you get my point? So Arsenal have chosen, I think, the deal of Bruno Guimaraes to surpass any deal that they have to do, because it's very important. Games of football are won and lost in the midfield. You understand? So, if games of football are won and lost in the midfield, what does that mean to the club of Arsenal? Declan Rice has played very many games at the World Cup, literally played every game for the club of Arsenal in the season of 2025-2026. That saw them play in the Carabao Cup final, FA Cup quarter final, Champions League final, and the Premier League. He has played very many games in there for you. So, they are like, a Bruno Guimaraes coming in through will obviously come and really fill that fill that void, and then later Declan Rice will be played reservingly until when he obviously gets back to fitness levels where they believe he should be really doing the needful. You understand? So that is really great. And I think for me, Arsenal have gone ahead to do something great for themselves, and they're not going to be ransomed. But, I'm this kind of person who always flips the coin. And what I'm giving you is the unpopular opinion. Now, let me give you the popular opinion that very many Arsenal fans are pissed at. How do you come into a season when you need a Sandro Tonali and you lose him? Matthias Fernandes, you lose him to Spurs. Now, Morgan Rogers was on the list. You do have Julian Alvarez on your list. You've so far lost 2 or 3 players that you would have gone ahead to have them play at your club. So, let no one lie to you that Arsenal never knew the price of Bruno Guimaraes that Newcastle wanted. They know. Even Morgan Rogers, they knew the price. But they are trying to take their time. And the reason for them to take their time is unknown. A team like Arsenal, that are the Premier League champions, Arsenal is at the same time a Champions League finalist that lost to PSG, a team that wants to obviously go ahead and really compete huge for the Champions League next season. There is no way you tell me that you miss out on Sandro Tonali, because Sandro Tonali was the difference as to why. Will be the difference if at all Arsenal meet PSG in the finals of the UEFA Champions League again in this coming season. So that was a very big miss that they went ahead obviously do. Big mistake they did as a club of Arsenal. So for me, I'm faulting them for not going in for these players, because if you want to get a good player right now, the player is at £100 million. It's evident. Tell me any good player that hasn't gone ahead to be sold for £100 million. Tell me that player. Who is he? You see, even Lille, they are like €100 million. It's either €100 million or £100 million. You understand? So, you need to break the bank and pay £100 million or €100 million for players. Ayub Buwadi, Lille is now swimming between 80 to 100. You understand? And you see Morgan Rogers, 117. We wait and see how things really pan out for the club of Arsenal. But he's a player that has gone ahead, obviously, go to your rival. And that is Chelsea. We wait and see how things pan out. But as I fault Arsenal for what they've gone ahead to do, I have to leave out an exit route for them and myself, because you never know who they might be coming in for, because that is the main reason. After losing this guy, what is their plan? Are they going to go in for Bakola? Are they going to go in for Vinicius Jr.? Are they going to go in for Rafael Leao? Are they going to go in for Marcus Rashford? Are they going to go in for Kvaratskhelia? Who is Arsenal going to be going in for next as their left attacking midfielder, if at all they've missed out on Morgan Rogers in there for you? Let's wait and see how things pan out, because for Bakola, it is said Liverpool is in advanced talks with Bakola. And Bakola, same amount of money, 100 to 115. You understand? That's what PSG is calling in for. Yandio Mande, is he the player that can obviously go and really hijack the deal? But he's also a player who will go for 116 million pounds because RB Leipzig are calling in for 130 million euros. You convert it to pounds, you tell me what you get. You understand? So, there is nothing that is obviously going to be easy for the club of Arsenal. If there is any player they want, they have to break the bank. Unless otherwise, they want to get in players like the Zolicis of this world. But if at all they want to get cream de la cream of this world, they have to obviously go ahead and obviously do the needful. You understand? So, we wait and see how things really pan out for the club of Arsenal. But we wait to see what Andrew Bartha is obviously going to be doing. He pulled it off in his first summer transfer window, where he brought in close to 8 players. Kepa Arrizabalaga, Christian Nogard, Mosquera, Hinkapie, Zubimendi, Eze, then Victor Gyökeres, and who else? Did he bring in 8 players? Nogard. Have I counted Nogard? Let's count them again. 1. Kepa Arrizabalaga, Mosquera, Nogard, Hinkapie, Zubimendi, Noni Madueke. Yeah, he's the man I had missed out on. They brought in Gyökeres and Ebelechi Eze. 8 players. That's what he brought in through. Now, a man who went ahead and obviously saw Atletico Madrid do signings for big players like Yao Felix for 100 was it 30 or 20 million euros from Benfica to Atletico Madrid. See him sell Antonio Griezmann to Barcelona. A man who went ahead to obviously see Julian Alvarez coming in through the club known as Atletico Madrid. I don't think that no big deal can obviously fail him to do. He can negotiate it. And by the way, before he came in here, Arsenal had signed Declan Rice for 105 million pounds. Now, adding on 11 to get the deal of Morgan Rogers done and dusted, I don't know what really went wrong. But I know the people at Arsenal, especially the correspondents, the flies on the walls of Arsenal, will obviously come in through and really let us know why this deal never went ahead to happen as expected. But I'm having very many people in the comment section, and I know everyone has his own thoughts about this particular deal. But let me obviously try to go through this in the next 10 minutes, and we call it a video, right? Okwalinga Dennis, Mr. Rokani for sure. That is a sign of laziness, because how can a team which doesn't compete for the Champions League take a player out of your hands? Obviously, it's because of Arsenal not wanting to pay 117 million pounds for this guy. And I 100% believe that it's because if they paid that money, it would have gone ahead to obstruct the deal of Bruno Guimaraes. And right now, Arsenal want Bruno Guimaraes. And by the way, we have to obviously pay a lot of respect to Fabrizio Romano. As people were saying that, as people from all corners of the world were saying that Arsenal is signing Morgan Rogers next. They are preparing the bid of Morgan Rogers next. Fabrizio Romano was on the YouTube channel of Trevor Noah, and he said Arsenal's next signing is going to be Bruno Guimaraes. Because it is evident for Morgan Rogers, Arsenal had not even gone ahead to make any bid. You understand? Arsenal had not gone ahead to make any bid. But for Bruno Guimaraes, Arsenal had gone ahead to obviously do 2 bids that have been rejected. The first one was for 55 million pounds. It got rejected. The other was for 65 million pounds, and it got rejected. So, meaning that Arsenal is still on that deal, and they're like, we are not obviously going to be moved or distracted from this deal. And I think you have to give Chelsea credit where it's due, because they were like, Arsenal cannot because Arsenal is at Newcastle and they want to get the deal of Bruno Guimaraes done, they can't obviously leave the deal of Bruno Guimaraes and obviously jump to the deal of Morgan Rogers. You understand? So we're like, let's obviously sweep in and really get it done, and the hijack is now complete. So we wait and see how that pans out. Okwalinga says, Rokani, please briefly, who are they now looking to buy in terms of Rogers? I think there is Bakola, Vinicius Jr., there is Yalidis of Juventus, Nico Williams. I think I'm going to be doing that video next. The next 5 midfielders Arsenal are targeting after losing Morgan Rogers to the club of... After losing Morgan Rogers to the club of... to the club of Chelsea. I'm having Luti Gucci. How do you think? Why did Morgan decide to join Alonso instead of Arteta? But I was very hurt. The reason is simple. I think there are 2 reasons. First and foremost, Arsenal would have gone ahead to tell Morgan Rogers that wait in a little bit, we're obviously going to be coming for you. And Morgan Rogers and his agent do want money. The agent wants money and is like, your future needs to be decided right now. If Arsenal is not doing the deal right now and not prioritizing you, go to where you are prioritized. You know? Because you never know, Arsenal would have gone ahead, obviously, go ahead and pay that amount of money, but they're like, let's first get the deal of Bruno Guimaraes done, then we'll obviously come at you. You get. So that is it. Secondly, it's all about the money factor. Right? 117 million pounds. Maybe Arsenal are not willing to pay that amount of money to a team known as what? Aston Villa. The other factor, agent fees involved. Chelsea might have gone ahead to obviously give the agent a lot of money, and the agent will be like, let's obviously go ahead and do this job here because you are 23. In the next